Good day, everyone. I hope you're doing great. For today's discussion will be interactive and informative as we indulge ourselves to discuss all about animal and plant cell. Last meeting we discussed all about levels of biological organization, in which we learned that there are 9 levels of biological organization, starting from cell, which is the basic unit of life, to the more complex one, which is the biosphere. It seems like you already know our previous topic, so now let's move on to animal and plant cell. Let us first define what is cell. Cell is the simplest organization of molecules that shows the properties of life. It is the basic unit of life which all organisms are composed of. After the discovery of cell, these major proponents in the name of Matthias Leden, Theodor Schwann, and Rudolf Virchow had promulgated the 3 major tenets of cell theory, which states that first, all living things are composed of one or more cells and cells product. Second, all living cells came from pre-existing cells by the process of cell division. And lastly, cells are the basic unit of structure and functions in organisms. The 3 proponents of cell theory conducted their own experiments that evidently contributed to the development of cell theory. In 1838, a German botanist named Matthias Leden concluded that plants are made up of cells. In the year after, in 1839, a German zoologist named Theodor Schwann concluded that animals are made up of cells. And several years after, in 1855, German medical doctor named Rudolf Virchow conducted an experiment and observed that cells are dividing, and he concluded that all living cells came from pre-existing cells by the process of cell division. Cells are classified into 2, the prokaryotic cell and the eukaryotic cell. Since we are just focusing on the facade learning of this topic, we will just indulge ourselves to the eukaryotic cell, in which animal and plant cells belong, since these 2 organisms are multicellular organisms. Although both animal and plant cells are multicellular organisms or eukaryotic, there are still few distinctions that differentiates the 2, and you can simply see it with their organelles. Okay, what are the organelles that are present to both animal and plant cell? First is cell membrane. Cell membrane is a double-layer phospholipids molecule that is responsible for structure and protection of the cell. It is a semi-permeable kasi pinapapasok niya lang yung importanteng molecule na kailangan ng cell at pinapalabas niya lang din yung mga hindi na kailangan ng cell. Importante siya dahil protection siya ng cell para ma-avoid na makapasok ang mga foreign invaders such as pathogens which are evidently harmful to the cell. Second is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a gel-like fluid inside the cell where most organelles of the cell are located. It is the medium for chemical reaction. So ang organelles, dyan mo makikita halos lahat ng organelles ng cell. Kumbaga, siya yung boxing cord ng mga chemical reaction kasi dun nagtutook place yung mga chemical reactions sa cytoplasm. Third is the most important organelle in the cell, which is the nucleus or the control center of the cell. Bakit siya tinatawag na control center of the cell? Kasi dito mo makikita ang DNA or deoxyribonucleic acid which contains the blueprint of all living organism. Kung wala ang nucleus kung saan nakapaloob ang DNA, wala tayong lahat, as simple as that. Fourth is the nucleolus. A nucleolus is a region, dense region in the ribonucleic acid and nucleus which is responsible for ribosome synthesis. Ribosome now is responsible for the synthesis of protein. So, galing sa nucleolus, lumalabas o gumagawa yung nucleolus ng ribosome. Paglabas ng ribosome sa nucleus or sa nucleolus, yung ribosome now is responsible naman for protein synthesis. So, gumagawa siya ng protein which is also important to cell's activity or to the entire cell. Next is the endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum is classified into two: the smooth endoplasmic reticulum and the rough endoplasmic reticulum. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum help the formation of lipids, while rough endoplasmic reticulum helps the formation of protein. Pero yung rough endoplasmic reticulum is not the site of protein synthesis. Yung ribosome na naka-attach sa rough endoplasmic reticulum ang actually na gumagawa ng protein. Kaya siya tinatawag na rough endoplasmic reticulum. Nagiging rough lang siya kasi yung sum of ribosomes na nilalabas ng nucleus minsan uma-attach sa or kadalasan talagang uma-attach sa rough endoplasmic reticulum that makes it rough. Kaya yung alam natin na yung rough endoplasmic reticulum ay gumagawa ng protein synthesis ay mali. Yung ribosome na naka-attach sa rough endoplasmic reticulum ang actually na gumagawa or yung siya talaga yung gumagawa ng protein synthesis. Next is Golgi bodies or Golgi apparatus. Golgi bodies is a sac-like structure which is responsible for the packaging of protein. So yung Golgi apparatus, pinapackage niya yung protein into a desirable structure para magamit ng cell. So, siya yung nagpapackage or nagpo-proofread, kumbaga, ng mga protein para mabuo ito sa mga specific mga structure para magamit ng cell. Next is lysosome, one of the most important organelle in the cell because it maintains the homeostasis in which it breaks down or it sorts out all the waste material coming from the Golgi bodies so that it can avoid invaders of the cell's function. Yung ginagawa ng lysosome, siya yung tagalinis ng mga waste material kasama na sa paglilinis niya kasama niyang nawawala yung waste material at saka siya mismo. Kumbaga, siya yung suicide bag ng cell. Nililinis niya kasama yung sarili niya. Next is peroxisome. Peroxisome are like the gym trainer of the cell because it breaks down the fatty acid which results to the formation of energy which is also vital to the cell's function. Next is the mighty mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell, where cellular respiration takes place that produces energy in the form of adenosine triphosphate or ATP, which is vital for cell's activity and function. So dito na sa mitochondria nagtitook place yung cellular respiration na nagproproduce ng energy in the form of ATP or adenosine triphosphate na mahalaga sa cell's activity and cell's function. Next is the vacuole. So, vacuole is the pouches in the cells that stores materials such as water, food, salt, proteins, and carbohydrates. So, yung vacuoles ng animals and plants magkaiba. Kasi sa plants, meron silang central vacuole, yung malaki. Usually, it occupies the entire cell kasi sa sobrang laki. While sa animal cell naman, yung vacuoles natin is medyo marami pero mga maliliit lang. So, yun yung pagkakaiba. Another is sa plant cell, yung vacuole nila usually contains water kasi yun yung kailangan ng plants para sa process ng photosynthesis. While yung in-store naman ng vacuole na nasa animal cell usually contains foods, carbohydrates, and other nutrients that is needed ng mga animals. So yun yung pagkakaiba ng vacuole ng animal at saka plant cell. Next is the cytoskeleton, which is the network of filaments and tubules that extends throughout the cell. So yung ginagawa ngayon ng skeleton, minimaintain niya yung structure ng cell. Kumbaga, siya yung network ng each organelle para hindi magbuhol-buhol or magbangga-banggaan yung mga organelle. Kumbaga, it maintains or they maintains the organization of different organelles inside the cell. Hence, we are now done tackling about all organelles present to both. Let us now move on to the organelles that are only present in plant cell and not in animal cells. And there are only two organelles present in plant cell and not in animal cell. And these are the chloroplast and the cell wall. Chloroplast is responsible or site of photosynthesis in which they require carbon dioxide, water, and energy from the sun to manufacture or produce oxygen and glucose. Yung chloroplast is siya yung site ng photosynthesis. So alam na natin na yung photosynthesis, yung process na gumagawa ng glucose at oxygen. Next is the cell wall. Cell wall is a rigid, firm, and a thick layer of the cell which is made of cellulose. It is responsible for an additional protective coating of the cell. So, kumbaga, siya yung nag-maintain ng structure ng cell ng plant at siya rin yung additional protective layer. Kumbaga, para hindi na talaga makapasok yung mga pathogens. Kaya naman, hindi natin makikita or mapapansin sa mga plant na nagkakaroon sila ng mga virus or mga bacteria or what else. Kasi yung cell nila is very protected na kasi may double layer na sila na protection. It is the cell wall and the cell membrane. Here are the diagram that shows the structure of plant cell and animal cell. So here is the structure of the plant cell and the animal cell. As you can see, you can immediately notice that the vacuole of plant cell is much bigger than the vacuole of animal cell. And also plant cells do have cell wall and chloroplast. To sum it up, the organelles that are common to both are cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, ribosome, Golgi bodies, lysosome, peroxisome, and cytoskeleton, as well as vacuole. The organelles naman that are not that are only present in plant cell and not in animal cell are the cell wall and chloroplast. I hope everything is clear. Do you have any question? I guess you don't have any question. To assess your understanding, let me just give you a short evaluation, and you are going only to determine or supply what is being asked. First question. It is an organelle that lets substances pass in and out of the cell. Correct. The answer is cell membrane. Second, it contains green pigment needed for photosynthesis. Correct. The answer is chloroplast. Third, it is the powerhouse of the cell. Correct. The answer is mitochondria. Fourth, what are the organelles that are only present in plant cells? Correct. Cell wall and chloroplast. The last question. It contains instruction and information to be sent to all parts of the cell. Correct. It is the nucleus. Job well done. To further widen your knowledge about our topic today, let me just give you an assignment. For your assignment, you are going to draw a typical cell and label its part, and you are going to submit this next meeting. Thank you. So let's call it a day. Good day, be good, and goodbye.